Coach Bill Santilli at Crystal Falls Forest Park with 22 years of coaching, 191-60 record. Coach had 13 conference titles, 7-time Team of the Year in the UP, 17 state playoff appearances, 11 district titles, 9 regional titles, 6 state title runners-up, and 1 state championship. He's the Michigan High School Football Coach Association All-Star Game Assistant Coach, 8-time Regional Coach of the Year, 2-time Division A State Coach of the Year, and Coach even has a name. He has a street named after him up in the UP, Santilli Way. Coach Santilli's comments on why he's coaches. I've tried to influence men in a positive manner while emphasizing academic and athletic expectations, along with the importance of moral, ethical, and spiritual values in life. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Hall of Fame, Coach Bill Santilli.
I'll start with part of my 5 minutes. Everybody stand up and stretch your legs real quick and then sit back. You're on my clock now. We gotta follow directions. We've been sitting here long enough. Everybody's gotta stretch. Okay, thanks for following your orders right there, my orders. I'd like to start off by thanking the association for putting on this banquet for all of us. We're all very pleased to be inducted into this special Hall of Fame. I'd also like to introduce my family. Please stand up. My wife, Sally, of 43 years. My son, Tony, and my wife and I go back a long ways. We graduated from Crystal Falls Forest Park. Same year, 1976. We dated in high school. We've been around together for a long time. She's put up with me. She should probably be up here getting some type of award for putting up with me for all these years. Both my sons played football for Forest Park. I've had the pleasure of coaching them. And also, they blessed me with both of their senior years getting to a state final game. One at the Silverdome and one at Ford Field. That was really special to me. Both my sons, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm very proud of you. You're good husbands, fathers, and family men, and I really appreciate that. But most importantly, you gave your mother and I 4 grandchildren, and that's top-notch for us, so thanks. I, too, would like to recognize a few coaches that have worked for me, if you want to call it that. Crystal Falls is a real small school. We've been a Class D program for years. We're now 8-player football. We don't hire many football coaches. Most of the time we're working volunteers because the school has no money like everybody's school. And we do it for the love of the game. And through the years I've had Rob Wellman, Jake Swanson, Jeff Chernak, Gene Giuliani, Dan LaPointe, Gerard Valsano, and a gentleman who I went and convinced to help me when I was named the high school football coach. His name's Dave Graff. He was a stellar linebacker at Michigan Tech University. And he was my faithful defensive coordinator for all the 18 years that I was head coach. There's a few other guys, most of whom are deceased now, that I would like to mention. They helped me out personally drastically in the time of putting a program together. Troy Marconi, Dave Cudwell, Larry Haskin, Roger Stewart, and Mark Nyland. I need to thank my wife. She's the reason why I got involved in coaching. I'm not a teacher. I spent my working career for the Department of Transportation in Crystal Falls. And we went, about 35 years ago, we went to a junior high basketball game. My nephew was playing in 7th grade. And we were playing a pretty decent opponent. They put a full court press on us, and within the first minute of the game, they went up 10-0. And I stood up in the stands and I hollered, "Call a timeout!" Well, she grabbed me, my wife grabbed me, told me to sit down. You can't holler at a junior high basketball game. I said, well, obviously the kids have no clue what they're doing. So I sat down, the coach called the timeout, and she looked at me and said, "You think you can do better? Why don't you be a coach?" And I said, well, maybe I will. And the next year I put my name in, and I got the 7th grade basketball job, and it resulted in me getting a junior varsity football job, which in 1996 I was given the varsity job. And as somebody else, another coach said before, the rest is history. And I've been so fortunate because all of my coaching time has been at the same school that both my wife and I went to, and I can't think of anything more special than that, to represent your school and your community where you actually grew up. I played football, and that's where I learned most of my football skills from coaching for two Hall of Fame coaches back when I was in high school, Coach Dick Metlack and Coach Rudy Valseno. And those two guys had a special relationship, and they established a tremendous football tradition at our school in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. And Dave Graff, who I mentioned earlier, he played also for Coach Valseno and Coach Metlack. And when we put our heads together that first year we started, we said, wouldn't this be wonderful if we can just reestablish the same tradition that our school had? Our school, during the time since the football playoffs in Michigan started in 1975, we have played for 14 state championship titles. And my wife and I have been at every one. I think that's just fantastic for my sense. For me, I was a player one year. I was a coach for one of those titles. I was an athletic director for one of those titles. And the rest of them, I was a fan. And again, my whole story evolves around the fact of being in this one little town way in the corner of Upper Michigan, and we're actually in the Central Time Zone even. We don't even feel like we're part of Michigan sometimes because of where we are. But Dave Graff was an outstanding X's and O's coaches. He did all of the scheming and looking at offense and defense and figuring things out. And I reverted back to knowing our X's and O's on our team because I started with them in 7th grade basketball. I introduced them to the weight room. I played them all. I didn't care about winning and losing. I wanted to build that relationship with them that paid off dividends at the upper class high school level. When I asked the kid, come on, I'm trying to play football, they kind of knew who I was, I knew them, and I felt that the reward was a blessing for the way I handled those kids back when they were younger in their lives. I have to say that I got to give some credit to my parents. They're both deceased at this point. They supported me to no end in anything I wanted to do. My father was a former Marine in World War II, and he thought sports was a waste of time. So I don't know where I got this interest in sports, but it wasn't from my father. My mother was a very spiritual Italian lady, praying all the time, spending most of her time in church. And she would have rather had it be if I was the school's band director than the football coach, because she had a love for music. Matter of fact, one story I have to share with my mother was finally in 2007, we won the state championship. And we played Friday morning at Fort Field. We got back into town about midnight. There was a huge group of people with a bonfire at the bottom of our town. We stayed out and celebrated for a while. I woke up the next morning. I took that state championship trophy over to her house. She was sitting in a recliner chair. And I said, Mom, the state championship trophy. We've been trying for this for so long. And she looked at me and said, that's nice. What time are you taking me to church? So I knew that she had, it didn't matter to her what that trophy said or if she even saw it. I would just like to tell everybody up here that I got a chance to do something that I never thought would be possible, being that I was never a teacher. I felt that I've been given a special blessing, and a lot of credit goes to everybody who played the game for me, all the other coaches who coached with me, being blessed with good health, and to all of you guys sitting up here and to your wives and your family, especially you guys that have 30 to 40 plus years of coaching. I only did it for 22, and I have to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because to put 40 years into this sport and to put forth that effort, what drains you completely in the fall of the year, is remarkable. Congratulations, everybody, and thank you for letting me talk.